Hey y'all, just wanted to give a quick update on the front suspension upgrade. As you can see, I'm kind of diving into it. Of course, this car is 35 years old, so it's kicking my ass every step of the way. um, but yeah, so I've already taken the shock out. That was a pain to get out, just because it was so rusted. And then now the project is kind of to replace these upper and lower control arms, and to do that I gotta get the spindle off. So of course there's 30 years of grime and rust and everything, so it's been kind of a long process, but I was able to get the safety clip out of this and the safety clip out of that, and I did loosen them both. So it took a lot of work, but they did come free finally. These are, I believe they're 24mm bolts, I want to say. And so when I was trying to get everything loose, I undid the sway bar end link, and as you can see, it snapped like a twig. So evidently that's going to have to be replaced as well. I'm going to replace the sway bar anyway. So yeah, that's going to have to be replaced, along with, I got new tie rod ends, inner and outer, on order. So we'll see. But as suspected, this job kind of turned into a lot bigger project than I anticipated. So we'll have to see where it goes from here. But I'll probably bring you along more on the other side. This side I wanted to kind of do my own and find out. I'll try to show you how to use the spring compressor and the ball joint separator to separate the ball joints. So I'm learning that as well. So we'll see what happens. Alright, quick update. Finally got the upper control arm on. As you can see, it is on there after probably about an hour and a half of struggling with it. This thing is really kicking my ass. I spent most of the morning separating the ball joints, getting everything off. I spent probably an hour just cutting off the sway bar end link, which was a real pain in the ass. It's there. What a pain that was. There's a spindle. Finally got it off. Tie rods. Got them off. There's my end links. I'm going to put those on when I put everything back together. I need to go pick up the end links from AutoZone here in a little bit. So I'm probably going to take a break for now. And yeah, I'm in flip-flops because I'm taking a break. So probably take a break for a little bit, go for a run. When I get back, I might try to get this spring out using the spring compressor. I'm going to figure out how to use that. The ball joint separators worked pretty well. Can't complain. They actually did really well. You just gotta really hit them in there. I'll probably try to show that on the other side, but for now, passenger side is, or the driver's side is coming along. Top is done. Bottom is next. Just so you know, I'll show you. You don't actually have to take the steering shaft out. I was about halfway through trying to get it out, and just decided to try and keep trying it, and I had to pry it. I mean, there is very little room. I mean, I had to pry it on there to get it on those bolts. So I think I took like the pry bar and just kind of pried it from right there, and I think I put that side on first, and then just barely hanging on, and then pried it over the top of this side. So it's on there. I put the shims back in for now, but the problem is it's just so tight around this steering shaft, and it's probably the casing that has an effect too. But so I didn't actually have to take out the steering shaft after all, thankfully. Whew, that would have been a pain. But yeah, I struggled with that for about an hour and finally got it on there. So anyway, top's done. I'll come back and do the bottom a little bit later after I get the stuff. All right. Alrighty. So I just finished my lunch break, and I'm just gonna give you a quick update of where I'm at. I got the lower A-arm out. It took forever, but I got it out finally. obviously I had to use the spring compressor, which worked pretty well. It was a little bit challenging to figure out how to use it, but I got it on nonetheless, and it worked. So I had to use some finagling to get it out, but it's out nonetheless. So now I'm gonna go back to putting this guy back together with the lower A arm. Looks good so far, so we'll keep going. Alright, so just to give you an idea of how worn out this suspension system is and how rust away it is, I'm gonna try to get the sway bar out while I'm down here, and almost about halfway done on the one side, I'd say. So pretty much what happened was I tried to take off the bottom side. There's the top bolt there. I had the wrench on it. There's the bottom side right there, and this thing, with the torque I put on it, which was not much, it snapped like a twig again. So take care of your suspension, people. Don't let it get this bad. This is 30 years of wear and tear, so obviously it's bad, but it shouldn't snap like that. So take care of it, and I'm gonna go ahead and replace these, both sway bar end links, since they're completely toast. And I'll go ahead and replace the sway bar while I'm at it. Might as well get started on that. Looks like it's just held on by these two bolts here. I already took off the other side. It's kind of just hanging on the jack stand right now. So I'll go ahead and replace this while I'm here. Alrighty, folks, that's enough for one day. I've gotten about halfway done with this side, the driver's side. So I think we're gonna call it a day. I did go ahead and put the sway bar in. It's just kind of hanging right now, but it's in there nonetheless. And so I think we're gonna call it a day while I wait on my new coilovers to come in. And I think that'll probably be next, and then we can finish the driver's side. So that'll do it, and we'll come back to it later. Okay, so I just got the QA1 coilovers just today delivered. So I'm going to go ahead and put these together. I've already gone through the instructions. And here we have the 400 spring rate spring. And I have the coilover right here. I've kind of partially assembled it. I think for the new control arms, this will have to be, this piece will have to be removed. The lower bracket will have to be removed. And then just to show you, you want this lower retaining nut, you want that facing up with the ridge facing up, and then you also want the lower spring perch with the ridge facing up as well. So it does make very clear that you want to use anti-seize on this. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and then I'll finish pulling it together. Alrighty, made a little bit more progress. So you guys are going to see this is all one continuous evolution, but this is broken up over many days, as I'm sure you can figure out. But as you can see, I got the coilover in. The easiest way to do it is to extend the shock completely at the top, and then mount the top first, and then you kind of have to push it over and just mount it in the bottom lower mount there. So it takes some force. You're fighting against the spring, unfortunately, but that's the only way to do it, really. So you kind of have to nudge it over, and it'll seat. I did lubricate everything. I lubricated the bushing in there, and I lubricated the lock washers, I guess as you call them, the bottom of the shock spring mount, and put anti-seize over all that. And you're also supposed to put anti-seize over the threads of this coilover, so that way it doesn't gall up, and you can, adjust it with the seats later on. So I did that, and then I did get the end link on just rather loosely. Everything is loose right now. I haven't really tightened anything up just yet, but as a whole, this thing is still kicking my ass. So you do have to use a lot of force with it, and the just kind of fighting the spring going in a little bit. As you can kind of tell, it does sit up in the perch as it originally does with the original spring. You just gotta have the small end facing down, but just a little bit of fighting and struggling with it. So still kind of kicking my butt again, but at least right now, as of right now, the sway bar is in, the end link is connected to the lower control arm, and the coilover is in loosely. So I think we're good here. I'll probably next go ahead and start putting the spindle back on, and then we'll go from there. So stay tuned for that. Another thing I did want to mention, other than using copious amounts of anti-seize to lubricate the coilover, you also want to maybe buy another set of sway bar end links, because this is what comes with the kit. The bolt is a little bit shorter. It looks pretty long, I know, but it's actually shorter than the stock bolt. So what I did was I had to cobble together Frankenstein, if you will. I used the kit that was supplied, and then I used the bolt that's actually the stock, supposedly replacement bolt. So just keep that in mind when you're doing this. You might actually have to combine two kits like I did to make it work. So that was the only way I could get the sway bar on the end of the end link. Alright, y'all, so here's the finished product. Got the upper control arm in, got the spindle back on, caliper and rotor, all that. Here's the lower control arm. You kind of see the adjustment knob right here. I'm not going to mess with that right now. Eventually, maybe. This passenger side was a little bit harder to get in. Just a little bit tighter for the lower control arm, but other than that, it was alright. The spring is currently set at the lowest setting possible, so it's going to be a low rider up front. But hopefully I'll eventually adjust that to raise it up, ride height up a little bit. There's the final install of the new tie rod ends, both of them. Here's the sway bar. Looks good, I think. We'll see how it handles. Can't wait to get it out on the road. I'm obviously not going to drive it very far. I might do a test drive today, see how it works, and at least drive it around the block, but I'm not going to drive it too far without a good alignment. And I'll probably lubricate all the bushings, or, well, yeah, the bushings, and anything that's got a Zerk footing. I need to lube that up. So I think that's it. Now it's all time to clean up, put it back together, and get on out of here.